Welcome back, vinyl community. Thought I'd come on here for another quick video spotlight. Wasn't expecting to be doing another one of these so soon after my Slim Smith tribute video. Thanks to everybody that watched that. The honeyed voice of Pat Kelly coming through the speakers. Pat Kelly passed away as of this recording, July 16th, 2019. Tribute to another one of the legends of reggae music. Pat Kelly and Slim Smith were actually closely linked. Pat Kelly was born in 1949, some sources say 1948, Kingston, Jamaica. Showed an aptitude for electronics in high school. Actually got a scholarship to go study in the United States, which he did. Returned to Jamaica, started working as a sound engineer while also singing on the side with his group called the Sheridans. So good was he already at this young age that he inspired some other singers on the scene to really work hard at their craft. Reportedly Roy Cousins of the Royals as well. Still have a video spotlight on him coming up. Haven't uploaded yet. One of his Pat Kelly's signature hits here. First done as a member of the Techniques vocal group. I'm in the mood for love. In a disco mix style. Prince Mahabad coming in on the DJ chat. Sounds to make you rub-a-dub. That record is from the Techniques 12-inch, label named after the group The Techniques. Now, one of the original main singers in The Techniques was Slim Smith, who left around 1966. Pat Kelly was recruited by the legendary producer Duke Reid to replace Slim Smith as lead singer of The Techniques, and he propelled them to even greater success with hits like what you just heard here, I'm in the mood for love, You Don't Care, and many others, chief not the least of which is Queen Majesty, adapted from Curtis Mayfield and the Impressions' Queen and Minstrel, which was absolute iconic classic of the rocksteady period in Jamaica, and the rhythm track used over and over and over again for decades to come. Slim Smith's voice in the lead on all those tracks. After a year or two, Pat Kelly left the Techniques. As with many of these groups at the time, things were kind of fluid. Oftentimes, Pat Kelly would be recording, it would come out credited to him. The Uniques might be Slim Smith's successor group. The Uniques might be backing him up on harmonies. Tracks that were recorded as part of the Techniques might later be credited to Pat Kelly solo. So it goes in Jamaican music. But definitely his first taste of success with the Techniques vocal group in the mid to late 60s, the rocksteady period in Jamaica. As reggae took over around 1968, Pat Kelly went solo. Initially started recording for his friend Bunny Lee. Bunny Lee I've mentioned many times recently. Edward O'Sullivan, Striker Lee, then getting a start as a record producer. He had several hits for Bunny Lee, in which he developed kind of his very soulful kind of ballad tone. As you've heard, a very emotional, very tender tone to his voice, honeyed kind of high tenor or falsetto. A debut album under the name Pat Kelly Sings, appeared in 1969 in the UK on the Palma label. Here, showing from the covers book, where they retrace the locations of iconic record covers. Pat Kelly Sings, debut album. Following this, he would link up with another producer, Phil Pratt, recorded a number of sides for him to even greater success. Some of them appear on a compilation called The Best of Sunshot, which was Phil Pratt's main label. Here you have big hits like Soulful Love, shows you the Pat Kelly approach, that tender, very warm, very emotional approach. Talk About Love was another big one. Have it here on the Randy's 12-inch. Nice disco mix sleeve. That is Talk About Love, Pat Kelly, backed with I've Been Trying, another Curtis Mayfield cover. Curtis Mayfield, another great influence on Pat Kelly, or another singer that was heavily influenced by him. Summertime appeared on Phil Pratt's Faith label, 7-inch, not to be confused with the classic, more classic show tune. And backed with All I Have Is Love by Gregory Isaacs. That was actually the B-side. Turned out to be the more significant hit, as it was one of the first initial hits for Gregory Isaacs, who went on to be a superstar of reggae. Going to next pick us up with kind of an obscure 12-inch, happen to have, on the Mystic label. Kind of hard to read. This is called That's What Love Will Do by Pat Kelly in disco mix. Also recorded for Larry Lawrence's Ethnic label, kind of a lovers rock oriented label in the UK. Later on in the 70s, got a couple of singles from there. You Get to Me, That's What Love Will Do. Hey Baby, yet another Curtis Mayfield cover. Nice Moa Mbassa sleeve. Keeping it nice, warm, and easy. Classic after classic from the man called Pat Kelly. Later one, Rock Me Tonight, World Enterprise label, 80s sound. Only got one LP by Pat Kelly. Later one, so-so, lovers rock style, 80s. Kind of a later period for him. Found it in a 99-cent bin. Couldn't pass it up. Not as well known, Pat Kelly was still going back to his sound engineer roots, apprenticed under King Tubby in the 1970s. There's a reason many of those King Tubby's records are labeled King Tubby's in the plural. He wasn't the only one mixing. Pat Kelly was one of his earliest apprentices, along with Philip Smart, before the more well-known Prince Jammy and Scientist. Pat Kelly was in there, learning the trade and teaching the trade, dub mixing, recording engineer, often not credited, but he was house engineer at Channel 1 for a time in the 70s, late 70s. Channel 1, the top ranking sound. Got one 12-inch by him on the Hitbound label from Channel 1 as a vocalist. My Girl, backed by the Revolutionaries. But he also engineered countless sides at the time. Just for example, 1976 LP by Tommy McCook, Lover's Time. Mixed at King Tubby's studio by Pat Kelly, Kingston JA. Great Tommy McCook, instrumental LP. Dubwise. Also had a strong link with his friend producer Ozzie Hibbert. Got one 12-inch from their partnership on the Earthquake label. Cover of Procol Harum's Whiter Shade of Pale. Pat Kelly always had a penchant for cover versions. One of his hits was Daddy's Home, cover of the Chef and the Limelighters song early in his career. One of my favorite versions of that song. But one of my all-time favorite reggae tunes, and certainly my favorite by Pat Kelly, is this one. I've played this before in earlier videos. I'm going to do it again to take us out. This is It's a Good Day, which appeared in the late 1970s on the Joe Gibbs label, Joe Gibbs 12-inch. Pat Kelly and Ranking Trevor on the DJ chat. This was the very first used reggae record I ever picked up. Didn't even have a turntable at the time. Wasn't really collecting officially. Found it in the annex of Beat Street Records in Vancouver. Picked it up sight unseen. Had to hook up my parents' old stereo just to give it a quick cursory listen. And it was a game changer. Revolutionaries on the rhythm. And the very tender voice of Pat Kelly with a serious message. As long as you're able to put food on your table, it's a good day. Got children living in love. Pat Kelly, one of the legendary voices of Jamaican music. Many, many hit songs. Didn't quite always get the credit he was due, both as singer and as an engineer. But definitely from that generation whose records will be listened to as long as people listen to Jamaican music. Cornerstone classics. Take it away, Ranking Trevor. You hear what the brothers say? Peace, final community.